Hello, my fantasy penta friends or my Poro army. How are you doing? This is another episode to cover the Monday through Thursday slate. But before we look ahead, I want to check in with you. How did you guys do this past week? We are completing our first week of League of Legends being back. We have a chock full of stuff during the weekend. We started off the week strong, and then we have a couple of great results even throughout the weekend, right? If you followed our core sheet, you would have hit a lot of the cash gameplay. For myself, I'm still in the net positive, and so I'm hoping to kind of close it out. The profit isn't as great yet. I know there's a lot of fluctuations, right? And I've been hitting that. I got great high highs, and I've been hitting the great low lows as well. Hopefully for you, you keep your head steady. You follow the multitude of the advices that we give out there, our core sheets, read up on what Naldo Senpai Cal has written, our man Andrews just covering us throughout the Western League. So let's take a moment, quickly go throughout the week, make sure that our thoughts are correct. Some of the things that I've learned throughout this week is that starting even for the first game, OMG is looking dominant. They finished the week with a 3-0 record, and they consistently show a very good and hyper style of gameplay. And so we want to keep in mind that this team is the team that we would want to play until they kind of hit like one of the more difficult opponents. But they're fast. There's something that's friendly for DFS. And then we have our first upset. FPX won against RNG, even though RNG outscored them. Now, FPX has a good weekend too. They finish undefeated, and Royal Never Give Up. We will talk about them as they'll be the first game to talk about in the upcoming slate. The team is still good. Don't give up yet. They may look sloppy, but we have to be careful about playing RNG in DFS purpose. They look in more and more like a low kill type of team that can win through talent, that can win through just outplaying their opponent without really go for the kills, that are not hyper aggressive. It may change somewhat, but certainly in the early parts, we haven't seen any indications of them being a what we known from LPL, like right, the hyper teams like even OMG or EDG and all those. EDG made a swap between the two games that they played. They're undefeated, but this will be something good that we need to watch out for the roster announcement. Flandre and Xiaoxiang are just um, playing a spot each. Maybe it's experimental. Maybe they're just trying to have some fun and giving the new guys some experience as this team continues to look like the champion, look like they're willing to play to defend their championship. JDG is an up and down team, and they finished the week kind of like 0-2. So they belong in a bottom ish, but maybe more towards the mid tier. I think they have the capacity to be better than, for example, WE or, better than OMG. Maybe we'll see. They have the capacity. Um, Nothing much to touch about with LGD. AL, anyone's legend. There's something interesting to talk about once we hit the upcoming slate. From the LCK side, we also saw a lot of things that went the way we think. Genji looking very dominant. Kwandong Freaks looking terrible. So these are something that's both confirm and disconfirm some of my expectations. T1 is still strong. They have a little shakiness in one of their games, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. It's the two bottom teams that's been interesting. It's Hanwha Life Esports, who was able to beat Nongshim, but then lose to Fredid Brion. And Fredid Brion challenged T1, but they won against Hanwha Life Esports without any major difficulties, really. I feel like Hanwha Life and Fredid Brion are a very similar team, and that they do, they do play a little bit looser than what I've known to see in LCK traditionally. Um, we'll cover some of these other LPL teams that we get to see. One notable one where we probably won't see for a while since they played a lot of their games already is OMG, but we'll have to keep an eye on the debuts of Victory 5 or Ninjas in Pajamas, as well as the debut of BLG. Both had a shaky start. They looked like they might have lost, and could be because of first game nerf, but they came back, they won their game, and it was good to see that the super teams that they're building just need some time, just needs a little bit of time to come together. If there's other teams that you want me to touch base on, just let me know. We'll chat in the Discord, throw me out some questions. I love answering questions in these videos. And so, if you have anything on your mind about what you saw, what you want to learn more about, have at it. Let me know what's on your mind. So let's head into Monday, January 17th. Thunder Talk Gaming against RNG. This is going to be likely one of the lower scoring games, or at least that's what all the indications we have. Uh, Royal Never Give Up is going to be a solid, safe team. I think the team slot is where we kind of want to, um, where we want to sort of um, prioritize when we stack on RNG. Probably a small stack, if we're to be honest. Nobody's really gonna give Thunder Talk much attention. They've looked worse and worse. Like the debut game, I actually thought Huff and Softwind had something to give, but really the rest of the team just does not have that synergy. They just fall apart fairly quickly, and it's not a team that I want to trust. It's minus 1600 versus Thunder Talk was plus 750. If you're a major gambler, maybe you try to throw in a quarter unit on TT and hope for something crazy happen. I just don't think so. I think I agree with the books here. That's almost no chance that Thunder Talk might win against RNG. Then we have Anyone's Legend against Fun Plus Phoenix. Now, Anyone's Legend is a plus 300, 305 dog, and Fun Plus Phoenix is a minus 460 favorite. Cal has an interesting write-up that you guys should read about. I don't know how much I want to buy into that, but if this is not a slate that we can find a lot of upset potential, I think Fun Plus should win this one. The odds are just about right. I mean, it is a little heavy-handed but not as they're not as certain as the RNG game. So maybe there's a potential that Anyone's Legend can pick off a game. And so where you have these kind of odds out there. But for this game, this is the one where you want to stack in DFS. This is where you want your big stack. For me, I'm definitely having LWX, prioritizing him, prioritizing the jungler, Beichuan. Or maybe it's Clid. I just kind of have to look out for the roster announcement. It should be out by now. We'll circle back this around. You'll have the write-up up there for you. But I'm sorry. Clid is not even on FPX, is he? Or maybe he is. Well, I can't edit this out. You guys just have to roll with this. But Xiaolahu is a sneaky top laner that you might want to fit in over maybe Gory. But I find that to be really hard to do because Gory can take turns, sometimes carry, and he's looking more and more comfortable. If you give Gory like Corki consistently, you'll be very much really fall behind if you don't have him. It's Chalk. Chalk is FPX. Chalk is RNG. The only semi-unique way to build this lineup, I would suppose, is fading one of LWX or Gory in favor of the Beichuan and Xiaolahu. And just go from there. Nothing much to say about that. Let's go to Tuesday then. LGD plus 375 underdog versus JDG at minus 600. I don't know. Like, I get it. JDG did look better, but that's only the way they look. They faced a much tougher opponent, of course. And LGD also faltered against two pretty tough opponents. I don't know if they're a minus 600 favorite over LGD. This has a very good spot for an upset. I know we don't really see much from LGD, but I do think that Shadow plays well. He'll be the one that's leading the LGD team. And it may end up being that JDG wins sweep and then, Prime looks like an idiot, but this is fairly heavy-handed. I think this is a spot where I might throw in a couple of LGD lineups. For JDG side, maybe we'll see their new mid laner, right? Hope. Is it Hope? Oh, no, their ADC. Hope. Sorry. Instead of LPC. Now, LPC is not a bad dude. I think he plays really well. He needs more chances, but JDG hasn't been winning, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're like making a substitute right now. And up next, it's a super heavy favorite EDG at a minus 1600 versus Ultra Prime plus 750. As much as I want to be excited about Ultra Prime, right? They look like the E-Star. Again, I mentioned previously that they have that playbook of E-Star, early aggression, pushing for an advantage, and then they falter because they have a very difficult time transitioning from the mid game to late game, and that is bad in this meta because of the bounty system. EDG can look shaky in the early parts, but they eventually will just crush, and so this can end up being a fairly chalky slate with EDG, JDG as your stack. Um, this time you will have to pay through your nose to get the 4 EDG stack. In my opinion, they can score highly. They can outscore JDG in wins, but uh, yeah, there's not as a lock that it has to be JDG as your secondary stack. So play around, see, have fun with this one. Maybe just max out the 10 cents or the 25 cents just to try out different things. What do you got to lose from that, right? Finally, oh, not finally. I'm sorry. Now Wednesday we don't have the odds for LCK games, so which is quite annoying, but we'll have to make do and try to guess how the salary might break out. And we'll start with the ones that we do know something about. We have WE plus 305 versus TES minus 460. This is the same odd as anyone's Legends against FPX. Um, Top Esport does not look clean as a team. They falter against lesser opponents. Um, while they're not bad to that degree, I also don't see WE being much of a challenge against them. WE has their own issues to figure out. They tried. I mean, my goodness, that I've watched through the weekend, and WE tried so hard. View, Shanks, all of them had a chance to kind of pull off an upset against like tougher opponents, and now they're facing yet another tougher opponent. Uh, at the end of the day, I think WE just does not have the capacity and the talent to play a complete game. So they're worse off version than TES, if you will. And based on talent alone, TES will come out ahead. I also expect TES to be chalky, but probably not as popular as the next game with LNG at minus 800 versus Invictus Gaming at plus 450. Invictus Gaming lost to OMG. It was quite interesting to see that this team is not the old Invictus as we know. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but for the most part, this new team tries to play a fundamentally sound game, if you will, macro control, less fighting. The strength of Invictus is on the top jungle mid between Yuekai, Shun, and Neni. But the bot lane is a major liability, which LNG can take advantage of between Light and Liu Mao. Well, I hope it's Liu Mao, and they might make a switch here. LNG looked like a dominant team early on. They had a little bit of a hiccup, I believe, and we do wonder if this is truly a super team. At the end of the day, um, they lost to Rare Atom, which I can't remember. Did they lose the game? Lose the series? Um, I believe they lost the series. You guys have to excuse me. I'm scrolling back up. Top esports. Nope, they won. But it was a tough like 2-1 victory where Rare Atom kind of looked dominant for the most part, and we kind of seen the weaknesses of LNG. Doinb did step up a little bit more, but at the end of the day, I think it's Tarzan that you want. It's um, Light that you want, and Doinb might be a long shot, not long shot, but a consider different set of consideration. Based on recent bias that can come about, I would think that top esports would be way more popular than LNG. Then we look into the next game in the LCK. We don't have odds yet, but chances are Damwon Kia is going to be a good favorite. I don't know if they're going to be a minus 400 or minus 800 type of favorite against Noshim. They are trying to recover from their loss against Gen G. which, by the way, if you haven't watched that game, go back and watch the VOD. It was an amazing, like, back and forth game. But Damwon Kia's talent really did show up, and they proved me wrong. They're not that slow, LCK type of team that I kind of saw in the first in their debut game. I think it is a function of adjusting to their new roster between Hoya, Dakdam, and Kellen. But they can put up scores. They put up a whopping 22 or 24 kill in a loss to Genji, surprisingly, and then they had another 15 or 14 kill game in their other loss. So Damwon Kia is a strong team that can give you fantasy value. Where if you can't find it in the LPL teams, I don't mind going that direction. So that gives you some room. So that gives many people room to kind of make different kind of rosters. So I'm not too afraid of going with the chalk, because I don't think the ownership will be as one-sided as initially believed. Then we have an interesting game. This is KT Roaster against Hanwha Life Esports. KT Roaster, even after they falter first game, comeback kind of showed me like they look like the old Genji. Cuz and Rascal, especially Rascal, the top laner, is a player you want to watch out for, that you might want for a one-off in those weird builds that you might be considering. Hanwha Life can give up a lot of kills and losses, and I still circle this game, even though it wasn't as major of a score output. It was more likely due to other. Hanwha Life was part of a slate where other people are way more likely to outscore them. In this slate, I think this does open up a door for KT to maybe outdo LNG, maybe, just because I know that Invictus has slowed down games a lot and has not allowed as much kills. And so a sneaky pivot away from the chalk would be to not have much exposure to LNG, or have lighter exposure to LNG. And even KT can give you that salary flexibility, right? So then let's then talk about Thursday. Thursday, we have Rare Atom versus Victory 5. No odds out yet. This will be a challenge for Victory 5. I do respect Rare Atom. They might have lost against LNG in a close one, but at the end of the day, they look like a very respectable team, a team that you can certainly circle around their rookies, Strive and Zora. Zora, especially, I know Gelati, one of our buddies on Twitter, and just noted that Zora plays way more mature for a rookie in understanding roam timing and understanding warding. And so he'll be a support to watch out for, which enables iBoy. This can be a very close game, because even though Victory 5 looks strong in their debut, right? They fought a 2-1 victory, and just kind of shows us what rookie will do, what PP God. Oh wait, they don't have PP God anymore. I'm sorry. Rookie, what Karsa. It's Invincible that the one I'm really concerned about in that team. But I'm also noted that the team goes as Karsa goes. If Karsa starts off poorly, the team kind of falters. This is not a game that you want to do that, because Leon is a very good jungler, and I think this is a much closer game, and I won't be scared to try out some RA underdog stack. Then we have OMG against Billy Gaming. Finally, OMG will be tested against arguably a super team, right? BLG debuted. They came off with a slow start, but then recovered and kind of showed why they should be respected on the Sunday slate. And this time, OMG is not playing against Thunder Talk. They're not playing against Ultra Prime, or not playing against just the lowly teams. They are going to be challenged here, and I'm going to be interested to see if they are able to meet the challenge. This game you can circle for being fairly bloody. So probably BLG will be where I start my cash stack, but OMG is where I can go for my underdog. This is slate already looking like you can play double underdog and still hope to take down a GPP. Then we have DRX versus T1. I can imagine that DRX will be a massive underdog, and T1 will be too expensive of a favorite to play. I'll give this a medium floor. I think T1 has that capacity to score high-ish, but DRX also slows things down a little. Still, they still have that. Let's slow it down. Let's not find those fights, or not engage in fights, or they find ways to disengage as quick as possible. And out of the 4 games here, I think this is the game that will likely be the projected to be low scoring and most likely overlooked in ownership wise. Then we have Fretted Brion against Genji. On the surface, this should be a major Genji, you know, favor. And Genji has shown us that they score very well in wins. The combination of Peanut and Chovy is just amazing. And then you had Ruler and Lehens to the mix. And you have a very super team. This is a team that took down Damwon, should be respected. And then you have, while they're called the lowly Fretted Brion, they're also last year known as the Titan Killers. They've already taken away a game away from T1 in a convincing fashion, and then made T1 earn their victory. So I can see that happen similarly with Fretted Brion with Genji. Genji coming off a very highly emotional win. I don't think that Genji will lose, but if we cannot project a clean 2-0, then playing the Genji team might not be as wise, especially where I expect Genji to be super expensive on the slate. This is a wide open slate, ladies and gentlemen. So take your time. Watch out for our score sheets. Play around. I think this is a highly volatile slate that you can go double dogs again to take down your biggest GPP ever, or you play the double favorites, whereas everyone was trying to experiment with the underdogs. So hopefully this gives you enough to work with for this week. That is the Monday through Thursday. I will see you guys back for next weekend slate.